Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's get started. There's no need to beat around the bush too much. It's very much the same as I've been saying throughout the weekend really, and also to do with Friday and Friday's close. Bitcoin's bullish, however the money flow index being on a 95 is usually a sign that things are getting pretty hot, and there's only two people who would really buy this particular area, and we all know about Captain Noobmaster, and that's fine. But on a different outlook, it could be, you know, for an investment purpose, the daily noise is nothing, you know, for someone. And if we assume that the low is in, like we've been, I suppose, like we can assume that the low is in, but assumption though, remember, we can assume that, then, you know, it could be a decent investment for the long term if you're able to, you know, bypass the volatility of a daily and whatnot. So yeah, Captain Noobmaster pumps the chart, but Professor Pro Investor can also just allocate a position at this level and be quite happy with that. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, trading in this, which is, you know, what I suppose most of us are thinking about doing, excuse me, is a bit, yeah, it's fraught with risk at this level. And again, without having to repeat the same analysis the entire time, when you get money flow index reads this high, it normally ends in tiers. So all-time high. We went on for a few more stabs, obviously. Very high money flow index read, and then obviously collapsing back down here. These things, yeah, they help us navigate the risk. That's all it is. But the Bitcoin chart on its own isn't a great deal to go by when it's being pumped like this. And again, you know, going back to the beginning of the last bull market, this is kind of how it happened as well. Reclaimed the 10 exponential straight through the 21 and continued up. The weekly money flow index is the main place to really get scared of. This is where we really do navigate significant tops, significant peaks. Peak here, bubble pop. Peak here, pop. And peak over here, which was the first top where we moved into altcoins. And again, recognize that this is just a barometer of risk, right? Look, we had bearish divergence and whatnot. So the money flow index isn't the be all and end all. What I will continue to say, however, is traditional markets are the place to focus on, especially coming into this week, because there's reason to believe that there will be a change in direction. And again, it's the same thing I've been saying the whole time. This is, I think, what's most frustrating for people, because my analysis is based on dailies and weeklies, that, you know, it feels like, and it very much is in a way, the same video over and over and over again, really, until the main swing takes place. And set it over here for the big swing, and then obviously here for the pullback. Set it over here for the big swing, got out here for the pullback, and then, you know, we assume that the bottom is in for traditional markets. We've been saying that for weeks now. And but now what I'm also saying is that we could break from here, we could reject from here. The law of averages would suggest a rejection, because it's rejected every time, right? And there's not a great deal that's changed. There's really nothing really that has changed in the broader picture. You know, when it comes to inflation, it's still high. It's coming down, but it's still high. Everything more or less the same still. So we should kind of expect the same kind of behavior, although I don't think we're going to make a new low. But, you know, let's not jump the gun, you know. Euro, starting the day with a little bit of red. It's nothing really. It's more or less unchanged so far. Again, this is a bullish chart. I expect it to be bullish. All I'm looking for will be a pullback into this 200 exponential and also this trend line, which comes in more or less at, we'll call it 104.4. That's what I'm looking for. We've got bearish divergence on the daily also. And the Dixie, looking to bounce from anywhere in this area. So from 101 to maybe where we're bouncing already. So it's somewhere in the 101 zone. And again, you know, Forex is open, so we're bouncing already. There's nothing on this daily to suggest bullishness. This is why we break it down onto Forex pairs, like the Euro. But, you know, as far as what we can see on this chart, yeah, it's still a bearish chart. We're looking for a breakout. One thing we should actually have a quick look at is the USD to Japanese yen, because this is basically the Dixie, or was the Dixie. So when I actually got that major top on the Dixie, this is how I did it. It was mostly a Japanese yen type vibe. One thing let's just keep it on. Let's move it to a daily, and I'll show you something. And again, this isn't the absolute be all and end all of anything, right? So we extend this descending channel, right? Descending channels often break to the up ascending channels, break to the down most of the time, not every time. We've come down to test the bottom side of the channel. So if we're going to remain in the channel and the channel, has a bullish undertone, you would at least expect to move back up to the top of the channel at some point this week. And if it continues to do that, and this is the time where we break out, then there we go, we break out, and we might have a significant breakout, all the way to the top of here, which would be a massive 12%. Top target, by the way, top target. So I don't want to, pee on everyone's parade here. I'm not saying that. I'm bullish as you are. I hold a disgusting amount of crypto, and I continue to trade it, and I will continue to trade it probably indefinitely until maybe someone says you can't trade it anymore, blah, blah, blah. But, as far as what I'm looking at, which, and again, just from what you've seen me do in the bear market, which is trade the big swings, look at giant pivots, in the market. We've been going down and going down and going down, and I say, look, I think now we're going to see some serious upside. Lo and behold, the serious upside. Then I say, let's get out of here. I think it's time to get out, and then you go back down again. Blah 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 blah. Same old. It's boring old stuff. But that's my main thing really. Looking at major pivots. Even a couple of weeks ago I said I think Bitcoin's going to rally up to, or there's a good chance, should I say, that Bitcoin's going to rally up to 19,200. Able to, I suppose if there's anything that I'm good at, it's the higher term time frame, medium to high term time frames, dailies, weeklies, looking for these pivots, right? And so far we've got them. We've got this one. We've got this one. These are these are decent moves, right? And so using the same kind of analysis that I would use on these charts in the bear market, and I'll continue to do it in the bull market, if that's what we're in. That's my thing. With that comes, you have to have patience, right? You have a lot of patience. And all I'm saying is, I think that we're going to see the opposite occur shortly. I think we're going to get rejection from here. Just normal. It's just normal stuff. I think we're going to get a pullback on the euro, a bullish retest of the golden cross. I think the Japanese yen will determine as well, the state of the Dixie. And the Dixie again, obviously disappeared, but the Dixie more or less is going to behave like the Japanese yen, dollar to yen. And so that's what I'm looking for. And so with all of this, it doesn't necessarily mean that crypto comes down. Crypto can just continue to do its own thing. It can do that, but the chances of it doing that are quite low because the money flow index is so high. So if we're going to think about pullbacks, just before we finish this video, because we don't need to carry on much longer, I'm just trying to hammer this point home really. If we do pull back on crypto and we pull back on everything, depending on how aggressive it is, and if it's also maybe if there's some kind of reason for it to pull back outside of the chart, because the charts are positioned for that kind of move, I have to say, but it doesn't have to happen. But let's just say, I don't know, the ECB says, oh, things are really bad, we're gonna go from 50 to 75, or maybe a 4% just to get ahead of the curve, or the Fed says something silly, something along those lines, or there's some kind of change in geopolitical positions, then yeah, those sort of things will emphasize whatever the chart is positioned to do. And at the moment, it's like the start of a race. You've got all the runners. They're on the starting. They're on the start line now. They're waiting for the gun to be fired, which could be anything could fire that gun. And all the charts will move in the direction that they're positioned and pointed out, which is a bit further downside. Like, I am not a bear. You know me. I usually only go long or buy long, but I just don't think that the position of the charts right now are favourable to longs in the short term. It's the same as I said last week, same as I said over the weekend, same as I'm going to say now, probably the same as I'm going to say all week, to be honest with you, until we reach an area of support on Bitcoin or traditional markets and Forex especially, because they're going to determine the overall direction rather than this very short term. If we base this just on Bitcoin on its own, you'd still be looking for a pullback at some point along the lines. And the pullback, I would say, it would be a buy the dip around the 10 exponential on the daily. That would be great. So we're talking 19,200. Interestingly, that was the area of where I sold at, basically. So we'll be looking for that kind of area to get tags just on its own chart. If the rest of the markets come down further, let's just say the dollar yen does break out and does that 12% percent or so, then yeah, the DIX is going to move up quite a fair bit. And if the euro comes down at the same time, which it probably will, then we'll be looking for even further downside on all markets. And again, we're at a rejection area on the S&P. So again, you know, we're looking for a lot of downside if all these things work together. It's power in numbers. It all sort of points to a dollar rally, the same dollar rally that I've been talking about for weeks. But yeah, I think it's in the, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, although my daughter did get one for Christmas, but I've not been able to get it to work. It just, everything points to further downside, but it doesn't mean that we're going to new lows. It doesn't mean that. It just means that the next major pivot, if we're going to get one, is one of downsides. It seems, interestingly, since we've been making this video, actually, it seems to be coming down a little bit now. But again, I'm not massively super bearish. You can get super bearish on Bitcoin if it breaks down below 18,000. But until then, holding anywhere above any of these areas in the 18,000s, you know, and above, is still very much a uptrend in the making. It's just very hot right now. Right, so I'll ask you generously to leave a comment. It seems to be working. Your comments are working. You're making my channel great again. Like and subscribe and leave a comment of any description, even if it's just to say, why haven't you got yourself ready for this video? You look awful. Also, if you want one of these, there's links in the description below. You get 30% off if you use my link and the coupon code. Otherwise, I hope you have a nice day. Take it easy.